Hey people. Well, here I am again on the day that I'm doing my cabaret. What I'm calling a cabaret. I'm not sure that that's actually the name anymore, but it's probably what I'm going to call it today because I'm not sure I'm going to come up with anything else in the meantime. But there's a feeling of this there's this interesting feeling of, the typical resistance coming up, the typical feeling of, how am I gonna? It's not even how am I gonna do this. It's like, should I be doing this? Why am I doing this? Who the hell am I to do this? What do I even think I'm doing? If I'm not, and the kind of judging voices of, you're not really doing any work on this. You're not actually investing anything in this. So if it all sucks, kind of who cares, That, which is another kind of layer of the resistance that I'm looking at. As I've worked with some students over the past, weeks and months, I've had this, it feels like such a privileged position to be in, to be able to observe other people's resistance and, hopefully, ideally, engage with them in some kind of helpful way, but also to map the mechanics of resistance, all the different ways it works, and learning what I have noticed over the last, especially 2-ish months, maybe I'd say, is that I'm developing like a sixth sense for resistance, for when, especially when someone else is in resistance. I mean, I can tell pretty much when I'm in it too, but identifying when someone else is coming from resistance, and it's not that I would think most people can kind of feel this. Most people are capable of noticing when someone they're talking to is, not open to taking action, or in some way, inhibited, in some way guarded. But what I feel like I've gotten better at is seeing it almost early, like seeing it right when it lifts off from being in the moment, the moment of departure from that, from the center, from the core, because we all, in order to be in resistance, we have to depart from our center. We have to. There's no other way to be in resistance. If we are in our core right now, here, in this moment, present, giving, available, all we can do is flow. That doesn't mean we won't feel intense emotion. Doesn't mean we won't feel, highs and lows. It simply means we're not going to be in resistance to any of those things. We might feel intense pain, but we won't be in resistance to the pain. We won't, we might feel incredible disappointment, but we won't be in resistance to the disappointment. We won't be in resistance to the experience we're having. And so it's just this interesting kind of awareness that I feel like I'm cultivating. And of course, it works better on other people than it does on me. I'm the special case in my own case, because feeling my own resistance always generally happens after I've left the center. It's for me to catch it right at the cusp as I'm, as I'm like, all right, core of bliss and peace out. See you later. I'm going to go over here and feel shitty for a while. That moment is hard to track for ourselves, but usually I notice it, I become aware of it when it's already happened. And so for example, like one of the ways that my resistance is manifesting around this cabaret, I made a rule early on, like I'm only allowed to work on it, I'm only allowed to have fun when I'm working on it. And that really got me through the first, I would say the first sort of wave up till the first time that I actually went live and played for all of you and, had a lovely time. But then subsequently, that same rule, I've continued to sort of honor it. This idea that I'm not allowed to go and beat my head against the wall working on this thing, because if I allow myself to do that, if I allow myself to work under that feeling of pressure and scrutiny, and like, I want this to be good, I have to make it good, forget it. I'm not going to do it. I know I'm going to drop it if I do that, because I'll be working against so much friction that the effort won't. I just don't think I'll prevail if I go about it in that way. However, I can very, very well imagine working on the piece intensely, deeply investing time and love and care and craft and excitement. And, I can imagine working on it. It's just, I'm at a phase of this thing where it's so new that if all I have to do is step up and sort of like exert a bit of effort, and it all of a sudden feels like, oh, holy shit. It feels like too much. So I'm working with that in myself. There's a creative delicacy and a creative vulnerability that I'm navigating right now. But funny enough, the thing that is also showing up is that the flip side of that statement is also true. Well, it's also relevant. So the flip side of that statement, if the statement is, I'm only allowed to work on this, I'm only allowed to have fun while I'm working on this. I'm only allowed to work on this from a place of fun and enthusiasm. And then, as a result, I don't work on it. In other words, that rule, which is designed to assist me, it's designed to alleviate unhelpful pressure. It's almost like the resistance is like, oh, for real? Oh, okay, I can go there. And it grabs hold of that rule and basically says, okay, well, now you're just not allowed to work on it at all because it's never fun for you to work on it. And now I've got this other form of resistance, or not another form of resistance, it's the same resistance. It's just taken on a new tactic, a new strategy of co-opting that rule. And then I show up at the performances and I haven't done any work on them. And my resistance gets to say, why are you doing this? Look, you're not even working on it. Why? What are you even doing here? What is this? What is this meant to be? Are you, do you actually care about this? And there's it was this funny idea I had earlier today. I was writing about this. I was just kind of like listening to my mind spew this stuff and observing how, one of the ways this manifests as a block is that if I don't do any work on the show, then I also can't really expect it to, I have very little expectation that it will be good or that it will be refined or constructed. Doesn't mean it won't be good. But there's a kind of like, hands off, I don't even know what I'm doing, so I'm just going to let it do itself. Bye, thank you, bye. I'm just here doing it randomly. Who knows what's happening? I'm being done. It's doing through me. And it's kind of, and so then the disappointment, so then it's still, if it doesn't go well, let's say, if I don't have the experience of feeling like, yes, this feels like it. It's disappointing, but it's kind of like the disappointment you feel at not winning the lottery, where you're disappointed you didn't win the lottery. There's a moment of, oh, shucks, I'm too bad those numbers I didn't win the lottery. But you're not that disappointed because you didn't really expect to, right? No one expects to win the lottery. So not giving yourself a shot at success is a way to not feel the disappointment when it doesn't come. And I guess what's happening to me now is I'm just kind of getting, I'm clocking that, and I'm kind of going, I think that's bullshit. I think that I'm ready to step out of the space of I'm so delicate that I can't construct this at all, or else it's going to derail me. And say, here's what I'm doing. Here's what I'm trying to say today. Oh, I totally failed to say that. Interesting. How? What failed about that? I totally succeeded in saying that. Wow, amazing. What was good about that? Let myself engage in the process of building it, because that's ultimately the joy. Like I've been in my creative work as a writer, especially. I've done a lot of writing and collaboration. There's nothing more fun than writing. Nothing more fun than writing in collaboration, thinking about how, ideas want to go together, how a story flows, how a joke needs to, how you go from charge to discharge on a joke. There's just like so much of that process that's just fascinating to me and joyful. So why would I make it off limits by essentially avoiding it, so that I can avoid the potential outcome that it might suck? I think that's what I'm getting. That's what I'm getting. Growing into is a willingness to say, all right, I'm going to try this. If it sucks, I'll be really hurt and disappointed, and I'll probably have to go lick my creative ego wounds for a day or two. But that's okay. I can take it. I can handle it if it sucks. Because at least if I am trying and I want it not to suck, I'm alive when I do it. I'm not hiding or like trying to duck under the radar. One of my students uses the phrase under the radar. And it is that thing, that there's kind of an under the radar element to it, to hiding, to hiding in that way, because it's like, as long as it happens off the record, and as long as it's, as long as I haven't really, invested too much, I can't be that disappointed. So anyway, I'm kind of coming to terms with that and noticing the various ways. It feels like the most like cliche form of resistance, but I'm trying to clock for myself really explicitly. Here's how it shows up for me. Here's what my mind does. Here's the point where my mind lifts off from the core. These are the thoughts it starts to think. These are the words it starts to say as I depart from my core, so that I can be like, whoa, I call bullshit. Get back over here. In my core, trying and failing is not a problem. In my core, writing something that sucks is not a problem. It's just a thing. It's just an informative experience. That's all it is. It's a step towards the next experience. And I'm explicitly talking about this today because one of my forms of resistance is to do that, is to sort of like duck out, like, peace. I can only have fun doing this, so bye. Don't look. Anyway, hope to see you at the cabaret. So much love. Appreciate you. Have a wonderful day. Mwah. See you soon.